does say Bran. Just checking.
No, it says fucking raisins.
Well, for some reason I thought it might say Brandon. Like, I'm not crazy. That's his fucking name, after all. So, how about you hop off my back?
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, currently reading A Clash of Kings. As always, I'm your host, Zach. Sitting next to me here is this guy who thinks I'm rude, Nate.
I think you're very rude.
Who also happens to be my elder brother. You fucking old piece of shit.
And
boomer.
wiser, better looking.
Yeah, wiser.
I mean, that covers most of it. More intelligent, cleverer.
Yeah, more
clever.
Intelligent, definitely.
Significantly.
Yep.
That's
Cleverer.
going to show you where he's at.
Cleverer.
If you joined us last episode, we read Tyrion 1 of Clash of Kings. His arrival and the beginnings of his toying around with shit in King's Landing.
Do you have a blanket on your lap?
I have a fucking blanket on my lap. I'm chilly.
We live in Southern California.
I'm wearing shorts and it's colder than normal.
Who made that dumb decision?
We're from New England. Like, I know what the fuck cold is, and right now I'm cold, so I got a blanket.
My hands are chilly.
You wearing shorts?
No.
Shut the hell up.
Because I'm not a child. I know
at
it's
home.
winter.
I am at home, and winter is coming.
No, winter is here,
And
motherfucker.
I'm cold, and I save on energy.
Anyway, yeah, Tyrion and Cersei had a verbal smackdown. That was pretty sweet to watch.
And a literal smackdown when she slapped him
True.
across the face a bunch.
But Tyrion essentially said, yeah, no, if you shut the fuck up and let me do what needs to be done, our family will remain in power, as that is what we all want. But if you continue doing stupid shit, then we're going to be fucked. So let me do what I do, recognize real, and I'll check you on the flip side. And then he peaced. And then he went to Shay, who was found by Varys, and Varys left him with a riddle, and Tyrion and Shay pondered that, and then Tyrion was kind of concerned about having Shay in the city, but that's to be determined. But we're full spoiler reread, so we know
She's dead.
She's a bitch.
Yep.
But this episode, we are going far north, back to Winterfell for the first time in this book, to Brandon Stark.
Who was the very first chapter of Game of Thrones?
His name isn't written as Brandon in the book.
Yeah,
it's just
fuck you, you
Bran.
son of a bitch.
It's just
you
written as
son
Bran.
of a bitch. You know I recorded everything.
And so
I have that
says
whole section of us.
that Bran preferred the hard...
Hello, cold open.
Well, actually, I guess we should, before jumping right into Bran 1 of Clash of Kings.
Yeah,
We left Bran. He was staring at the comet. He was one of the first people to spot the comic. He just fucking, there's a Superman comic, just came and floop.
Hey, man, he's the
He was
three-eyed
the
raven.
first person to spot the comet in a Game of Thrones, and him and Lewin kind of discussed what it meant, and then... What the fuck did he do in his last chapter?
I don't know, not much.
He got
was it the letter for
Yeah,
that,
he
from
got
King's
the knowledge.
Landing?
Jeez, sorry, Bran. Yeah, he got the knowledge that his father was dead and found Rickon, who wanted to spend a lot of time down in the crypts.
Right.
And we thought that may have pointed at
Yeah,
him being a true Stark.
Then led them up to the, having a sit down with Lewin upstairs.
And getting the letter that Ned's dead.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Bran had preferred the hard window seat to his soft feather bed, because a bed, the walls pressed in on him. In a bed, his chamber felt like a cell. Yet outside his window, the whole world still called to him.
Great. So now that we've got this guy sitting in a window watching, let me bring it back to our prologue episode.
Rewind.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we opened with Maester Crescent, who we harped on about that whole episode about how similar he was to Bran.
Standing among his gargoyles.
And here we open with Bran watching out a window.
Yeah, I mean,
granted, what else can he do?
Right
it's
on
not
the
like he's going to be riding his bike around.
He's not going to be fucking on a horse, like, charging down well, he could be, but...
And that's what he says to himself, is he could not walk, nor climb, nor hunt, nor fight with a wooden sword as he once had, but he could still look. And that's all you're going to do forever.
Correct.
Forever.
And one of his favorite things to watch was as the fires began to glow behind the window panes around Winterfell. And he also loved to listen to the direwolves sing to the stars. So yeah, we're getting beat over the fucking head with it now.
Well, now we have to
watcher on the wall.
Yeah, we have to remember this is the very first chapter for George in this book, so he's got to reestablish the character a bit and lay some footwork, to really lend itself. But yeah, he starts just bashing us over the face with this mystical madness.
Yeah, it's fucking 0 to 60 with, like, the mystical, it's all depending on your interpretation, because it goes on to say...
Well, it seems way more mystical after having read it now. The first time you go through it, it could very well just, he's dreaming of wolves, he's doing this, like, is that even anything? And here now we're like, yo, this motherfucker is casting goddamn spells with his mind.
This whole chapter, I kept thinking of Bran's last chapter, which is, he spends a pretty good, full spoiler reread, here we fucking go, folks, strap in. But he spends a pretty good portion of time under the tree with the Three-Eyed Raven. And there's the passage of the moon cycle, which we've discussed a lot. Yeah. That is such a good passage of time. But I've never really realized until this reread how much the sky gets brought up with Bran.
It's crazy.
And how, like, the moon cycle is important for him and these wolves. And just, it may not be important, but it's symbolic for him and these wolves.
Well, now that you mention it, really, it was because it was pretty prominent with Daenerys as well, riding with the Khalazar and the all things of importance must happen beneath the stars or the sky, open sky.
Well, that's what I was getting to, is with he loved listening to the direwolves sing to the stars. Like, is that to the Dothraki, the stars are important? So, like, is it the wolves singing? Is it them singing to the stars, or are they just howling? As we know, is there the magic nature to these direwolves?
Well, we kind of find out here at the end, anyway, what they're howling to currently, anyway.
Yeah, because we learned that of late he had often dreamt of wolves, and he thinks that they are talking to me when they howl brother to brother. And he told himself, that's what he told himself. He could almost understand them, not quite. Not truly, but almost.
Which is funny how close he really is to the fact that he understands them perfectly when he's warging.
Yeah. It was as if they had sung in a language he had once known, but somehow forgotten, which I think is exactly what you just said. He wargs into Summer. He knows what they're saying. He comes into Bran. He begins to lose it because
exactly. And so he kind of thinks of old Nan and how she told him that all Starks have wolf's blood, though it is stronger in some than others.
Arya, Lyanna, Jon, there's always tales of even, which was it, Brandon, who had the hot-tempered of the Stark, like Lyanna. There's these epitomizers of what it is to be the Stark name, and
in different ways.
It's interesting that comes up here as well. The Starks have the wolf blood. But we learned that Summer's howls were long and sad, full of grief and longing, while Shaggy Dog's were more savage. And together their howls echoed through the castle, and it seemed as if some great pack of direwolves haunted Winterfell. So Summer is, like, lamenting, and Shaggy Dog is more angry, savage, feral.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that they are both in mourning, but Shaggy Dog is just a little more angry about it, which reflects them and sort of the children. Rickon doesn't understand what's happening. His father's now dead. His brother's riding to war, declared king, which Bran is now aware of. We'll learn a little bit, and I'm sure Rickon is as well.
Whereas Summer's more reserved.
Where Summer is more emotional about it and kind of understands the greater implications. Shaggy Dog kind of wants to snarl.
Which is a direct reflection of their owners. And so, because Rickon is too young to really understand, and he's very primal and
so
savage.
Bran thinks on the wolves, thinking, do they miss their brothers and sisters too? Are they calling to Grey Wind and Ghost, to Nymeria and Lady's Ghost? Or Lady's Shade.
Yeah.
And we learned that when Bran had asked Sir Roderick why they howled, he answers, who can know the mind of a wolf? Which is of course he says that to Bran.
And then he goes around the castle, basically, asking everybody's opinions on it. And so he asks... is it Farland, the kennel master? And he says that they just don't like being kept inside the walls.
It's freedom they're calling for, boy. Wild things belong in the wild, not in a castle.
Yeah, and then he goes to Gage the cook, who tells them that they just want to hunt.
That's hungry.
That's what they're built to do.
They got a scent of something, and they want at it.
And finally, he comes to Lewin. and maybe not finally, there might be a couple more, but Lewin just tells him that they think the comet is the moon. That's why they howl. That is all.
See how bright it is?
And Osha's like, yeah, he's dumb as shit. No, you're wrong.
Yeah, I wrote her direct quote.
Yeah, I had go for it.
No, you do it. You do it.
I only did that she tells Bran the wolves have more sense than Lewin. They know truths the gray man has forgotten.
Yeah.
And
the way she said it made him shudder.
God damn it. Like, yeah. I love this woman. She's so badass.
Well, I mean, and I think it's true. It's that, yeah, he's learned, but he's book learned, and he hasn't lived in the North in the shit of it with the magic of this world yet. And so, yeah, I love that. Yeah, your wolves have more wit than your maester. Like, they know more. They're more tied into what the fuck is happening than he could ever be. And when he asked her what the comet meant, she said, blood and fire, boy, and nothing sweet. And so Bran then asked Septon Chael about the comet.
I just wanted to point out that she said boy to him there. Boy. Just because Bran will mention that again later on.
Yeah. He went to Septon Chael to ask about the comet, who said that it is the sword who slays the season. And soon after, the White Raven had arrived from Old Town with word of autumn's.
Fucking Chael, yo.
Yeah,
like,
the sword that slays the season.
Dope.
Old Nan did not think so, and she had lived longer than any of them. Dragons, she said, claiming she could smell the comet. It be dragons, boy.
Now, I only mention that because he says that she always calls him boy. She's the only one that does. And he brought attention to that. Osha calls him boy as well.
Yeah.
And I just think it's neat that these...
Osha is Old Nan.
Osha's Old Nan.
Osha's Old Nan.
No, that these two that seem to be so tied to the North are the ones who aren't like, oh, little prince. They're like, no, you're a summer child. Like, get ready for fucking life, bitch.
Old Nan is an anagram for Osha. It's not.
Obviously.
And yeah, Hodor had just said Hodor when Bran asked him about it.
Oh, yo, I didn't even think of
the
that.
best insight.
Shit.
Yo, he probably answered. Hodor's probably the one who was like, no,
I die
the comet is
tree.
legit, just like restoring magic to the world. We're all good, bro, but it just comes out, it's Hodor. And still the wolves howled, driving everyone in the castle absolutely fucking nuts.
Except Bran.
He didn't mind. So Roderick Roderick was named Castellan in Lady Catelyn's absence, and he had the wolves confined to the godswood after Shaggy Dog had bitten Little Walder.
Yeah, no, Martin leaves it there for a while.
Yeah,
before he actually explains how and makes it seem like it's this savage attack.
Yeah, and I think I should really at this point we're a book in a third down, but I don't know if that's a style he uses only with Bran, where it's very it's kind of whack, like the way you're getting the story.
No, he's done that with a lot of people, even through Game of Thrones.
Because it's so fucking...
Because he did it with Jon. There was a Jon chapter.
But is it only like Starks, I'm wondering, who do this weird
technically
intro,
speaking, especially now, it's almost been all Stark point of views.
Well, I mean,
we've had Tyrion.
That's what I meant. Is like Dany and Tyrion, are they like Tyrion? I think does as well.
Catelyn does the thing, or Catelyn, Dany as well, because she does a lot.
So I
of
guess there's nothing there, but
it's just his writing style.
It's just so it's interesting the way he does it, and because we'll get the story of Shaggy Dog fighting Little Walder
in a little while, but right now he just mentions that that their voices echoed strangely in Winterfell. He thinks about how he used to know every stone there, and then he fell.
Yeah.
And then it goes into that part. Now comes the book 1 recap, where he doesn't remember falling, and when he sees the gargoyles at that tower, on the spot where he fell from, he gets this weird feeling in his stomach, which I think is that mental block he learned to put up during his... dreams there.
The mention of the gargoyles immediately brought me back to the prologue.
That's it. That's where I was going with that mainly but once again we get mention of gargoyles. And it's just him watching constantly, and I just thought it was neat, all these feelings he's getting while looking at the the same type of deal that Crescent was getting while he was having this terrible feeling, contemplating the comet.
We were talking about how Crescent essentially became a gargoyle himself of just standing there and watching. So I think that's mirrored here with Bran. That Bran is, especially now mentioning it, and when Bran had mentioned knowing every stone of those buildings and all that, he had said that their rooftops had been his secret places, and the crows up there had been his special friends. And so it's like he is going to be one of those gargoyles in that special place just watching. And it's just so fucking interesting.
That and the crows.
And the crows, of course, being I
also think it's kind of, in my opinion, the three-eyed raven there almost resembles a gargoyle himself when we see him. Like, the way he's part of the tree and, like, old and graying and dying and just... So, that's what Bran has to look forward to.
Yeah, so Bran mentions that Summer had howled when he fell in a long while after, when he was broken in bed, and the night that the raven had brought word of his father's death, the wolves had known that as well.
He wonders who, then, they're mourning for now, as they howl.
Had someone slain the king in the north, his once brother Robb, or his bastard brother Jon Snow on the wall, or mother, or his sisters? Or was it just something else, like everyone said?
And he thinks that if he was a direwolf, he would understand their song. Duh.
This one to me feels significant with in the first book, and we'll get more of it in a while, but the Children of the Forest, it was said that their language was like the song of the earth.
Yeah.
And so it's just, if I was truly a direwolf, I would understand the song. Like, if I was a green seer who could warg into these, like, it's just...
And do you think it...
Fuck.
Because Jon, a lot of people assume that, with his death at the end of Dance, that he wargs into Ghost for the duration that he's dead, and so that he's going to come back, missing pieces like Beric Dondarrion does and Lady Stoneheart eventually, but even more primal because of his attachment to Ghost. And how long he'll spend there without a body to return to at all. Like, he's trapped there. But, anyway.
In his wolf dreams, he would run around and scale up the mountains with all the world spread out around and below him the way it had used to be. And cupping his hands to his mouth, sitting at the window now, he raises his head to the comet and Bran... But it sounds, he thinks to his chagrin, like a little boy's howl, not a wolf's. Yet Summer gave answer, and Shaggy Dog joined, and Bran howled again, and they howled together for a while, the last of their pack.
Yeah.
That line there, man, is like the fucking...
It's brutal.
Because that's it. At this point, the wolves are the direct mirror of... They lost all their pack, and... Oh, it's so good. But the noise brings in Hey Head... And he comes in asking, "What is this, my prince?" And Bran thinks that it is still weird to be called prince, but...
He turns to him and howls.
Yeah, he just howls at him. Fuck you, Hayhead. So Hayhead screws up his face and says, "Now you stop that." But he doesn't, and Hayhead just leaves. Like, fuck this. And he returns with Luwin.
You son of a bitch.
He went and told on Bran. Went and got the mace. And Luwin comes in saying that Bran should be asleep. And... we also learn here that Mikken had hammered iron bars in around the room so Bran could fucking maneuver himself about.
Yeah.
And so he says that he's a prince. He doesn't need to sleep if he doesn't want to. And then he tells him that when I sleep, I turn into a wolf. Because they begin talking, even princes need to sleep. Luwin says, you need to rest. It's not just about what you want. And then he says, when I sleep, I turn into a wolf. Do wolves dream?
And Luwin gives him I'm pretty sure anything that sleeps dreams, for the most part, probs,
Do dead men dream? He asks, thinking of his father. And we learn that there's a stonemason currently in the crypts carving the likeness of Ned's face.
Yeah.
Right now. And Luwin answers, some say yes, some say no. The dead say nothing. And Bran asks, do trees dream?
I love, because... Luwin says no, they're just trees. But all of a sudden, Bran decides, Fuck you, you're wrong. No, they do dream. And I just... Why did he just... Because he knows.
Well, the next line is why. He says they dream tree dreams. And sometimes I dream of a werewood, like the one in the godswood.
Yeah.
Like the one in the godswood,
Like
not
the one,
in
not,
the
yeah.
godswood.
The
It
one he
calls-
dreams of calls to him, but he likes the wolf dreams a little better.
Yeah. So
he's dreaming
it's
of
a
the tree
three-eyed
already.
raven, yeah.
He's already dreaming of that tree.
And so, yeah, I think he has maybe been a little more in tune with the werewolves than he knows, and that's why it suddenly comes to him. Because he's like, yeah, of course these things dream. They keep the memories. Like, I've looked through a couple werewolves myself at this point, but I think it's so
vague.
new
He doesn't
and,
understand.
Yeah,
it's
it's
nobody's
new
made
and
it clear as to
subconscious
what's
for him.
happening.
Yeah, he doesn't have the little grandfather yet.
And Lewin tells him that he shouldn't be up here doing this by himself. He should be out playing with the other children.
Bran hates the other children, meaning the Walders, and he had commanded Lewin to send them away.
It's their fault Summer is locked up.
But Lewin grows stern here and says that the Walders are his lady mother's guests, and it is not for Bran to expel them, nor is it kind. And he says that the Frey boy did not ask to be attacked by Shaggy Dog no more than I. Or asked to be attacked no more than I. And Bran says, that was Shaggy Dog. Summer never bit anyone. And Lewin says, Summer ripped out a man's fucking throat in this very room, brah.
In defense.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's
fuck?
it. Yeah.
But yeah, he tells them, no, they're savage wild animals. They are not supposed to be in the walls.
Those
and cooped
sweet
up.
pups you and your brothers found have grown into dangerous beasts now. And so Bran suggests just putting the Walders in the godswood. But Bran isn't even allowed to ride Dancer now, we learn. He's starting to feel like a prisoner because Lewin keeps reminding him of the wildling attacks. Things are getting too dangerous. So Bran is just cooped up. Like,
yeah, which he
doesn't want to go out
yeah.
and play with the kids, and we'll learn why here in a bit.
Yeah.
He can't go out and ride his horse. All he can do is dream the wolf dreams.
Yeah,
now.
and he tells Lewin that, if he was a wolf, he could run free, run around wherever he wants, and help his sisters and go and help his brother, and then it leads into him
tear out. It's interesting.
He gets brutal
because he mentions Arya and Sansa by name. He mentions fighting beside Robb by name, and then he says, "And tear out the Kingslayer's throat with my teeth. The war would end, and everyone would come back to Winterfell." And then he howls at Lewin again. But the Kingslayer, like, just not Joffrey, not Joffrey, not Tywin. Fucking Jamie, like, I would tear his teeth out because I'm a wolf. I'm not afraid of him then.
Right.
I'm not the boy anymore. I'm the wolf. Like, fuck you. And yeah,
and Summer was never told to put that away. You don't need that.
Well,
and
so
Summer is aware that, especially if it's they're dreaming. I would imagine that Bran's dreams and memories are going into Summer as well, and so.
So yeah, Bran turns and howls at Lewin, and Lewin just kind of, as you will, child, and he leaves with a look on his face that is equal parts grief and disgust. He doesn't really know what to do to help this kid at this point.
But fuck, man.
Bran is kind of losing it here. Like, woo, he's just fucking howling at anything anyone says now.
He's like this poor little Levy.
I get it, but what can at this point?
Lewin child in disgust.
Well, like, Lewin can't just be like, yes, you are a wolf when you dream. Like, there's just no one's ever gonna fucking do that. So like, it's just, what can he do? And it's an interesting point for Lewin to be in, because he's trying to take care of Bran, do his best, but he's got Bran, and then he's got fucking Rickon with little Shaggy Dog, like, ripping apart the Walders. He's trying to keep that fucking peace. So
valid.
But anyway, we are going to convene our small council real quick, just do some housekeeping stuff, and we'll let you get right back to the episode.
We'll be back.
What's up, guys?
We are here in the small council.
So is Lady Stoneheart, but she's not going to talk because it hurts. She's got a sore throat.
She's got some lozenges, though, so it's getting better. Well, kind of. They fall out a lot, but whatever.
Gross.
So, thanks for listening to our episode. We're just going to plug out our socials so that way you know how to write into us.
Yeah, we don't have any late or catch-up write-ins, but we will be reading the one we got at the end of the episode, as we normally do. But if you wanted to write in some inductees to us for our upcoming Arya 2 chapter, or John 1, which is after that,
or
Catelyn
whatever.
1,
or if you just have questions, comments, any kind of
you can reach me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Carstark92.
I'm on Twitter at Manners Without, which is the same place you can find Zach on Instagram at Manners Without. We have our Facebook group, facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. We have our email, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. That's one of the easiest and best ways to get a hold of us.
Yeah, and we have our Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com/withoutmanners. And that's where we have some bonus episodes.
Winds of Winter sample chapters.
Yeah,
those.
Sweet
shit, Johnny. But anyway, we just wanted to touch base with you real quick.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Rate us, review us, leave us some subscribes. I've got that backwards. Subscribe to us, rate us, leave us some reviews.
Oh, Bran's calling.
Yes, he is. So we'll let you get back to his chapter. Yeah, so Bran is up in his room for quite a while.
Yeah, spent some time alone.
He realizes, he's thinking to himself, he did try to extend a welcome to the Freys. He tried to be nice.
He says, because he's thinking it resentfully. Like, I was Lord of Winterfell, a true lord. He can't say I wasn't. And then, we get the flashback in time, that when the Walders first arrived, it was Rickon who wanted them gone, and it was up to Bran to soothe him and welcome the Walders in, sharing meat and mead and a seat by the fire. And even Lewin had said he did well.
Now, it's been touched upon briefly.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
It's been much less than 1 week. However, we've touched upon the sharing meat and mead to welcome.
When I think about you, I touch myself.
I can't with you tonight.
All right,
I'm
out
of control.
Go for it.
When, you threw me off. We hear about the meat and mead and welcoming, the guest rights, but it's super prominent in every Frey-focused chapter.
Yeah, when Rob first met the Freys, that was one of the first times we got it.
We get it heavily here with, I did it right. I offered meat and mead just like you're supposed to. Yep.
But that was before the game. And we learned that, the Walders had come with a game that they played at the Twins. And the game was played with a log, a staff, and a body of water, making do with a murky pool in the godswood. Both of the boys were called Walder Frey. Big Walder said that there were bunches of Walders at the Twins, and to that Rickon told him pretty snottily, "We have our own names at Winterfell."
Yeah, I thought that was the greatest line of the chapter.
Rickon is always a fucking gem.
You guys have to share names? We get our own here in Winterfell. What's up with that?
The game was played by laying the log in the water. One player stood in the middle. He was Lord of the Crossing. When another player came up, the Lord had to say, "Who goes there?" And the other player had to make up a speech about who they were and why they should be allowed to cross. The Lord could ask questions and make them swear oaths. They didn't have to tell the truth unless they said mayhaps.
No, that's not correct.
They had to tell the truth unless they said mayhaps, so that the Lord wouldn't notice, and they could try to knock the Lord into the water and become Lord of the Crossing.
Yeah.
But only if you said mayhaps, or you were out of the game. The Lord could knock anyone in at any time. And it mostly, in truth, came down to shouting, hitting, and yelling. And Little Walder ended up Lord more often than not. So, this game...
Yeah.
This game
is incredibly telling.
Is incredibly telling about where these boys grew up.
Yes.
That it's okay to lie. As long as you fucking cross your fingers behind your back. Yeah. As long as you slip in the mayhaps.
And so if you go back, I had intended to do it, never did. Go back and look at that first chapter where we sit with Walder Frey.
Yeah.
I don't know that he says mayhaps this time.
I don't think he does.
But I do believe it's said.
I don't think at this point he's looking to betray Rob.
Right,
exactly. There's no slight yet. He still is getting a
Granted,
daughter.
Maybe he did say it, but again, I can't remember, and so I'll have to look and double check.
I think he says it, but I think he says
But it's not in a
contextually correct way, not in a slipping something else in.
However,
and that makes sense at this point.
That's the,
but I mean, if that's the rule, yeah. But at this point, he's got no reason to, because he's got a daughter who's going to be made queen in the North now.
Right.
Once Rob, so there's no reason for him to.
Yeah, at the moment,
not
he's
to
very
say that
happy.
He's sitting there Rob Stark's the best, but I don't think he's actively plotting right now.
But yeah, like you said, it really just goes to show that they're taught, do what's best for you, and it's okay to lie as long as you're not caught.
Yeah, as long as no one notices, it's good to lie. And so Little Walder was called Little Walder, even though he was tall and stout, red-faced, and a big belly. Big Walder was sharp-faced and skinny and half a foot shorter. Big Walder was a month older, so he was bigger at first. They are cousins, not brothers, with Little Walder ahead in the succession.
Yeah,
But-
we get a lot of succession right here.
Yeah.
Where they just go off, and I really didn't...
I only wrote down that we've got Black Walder, Red Walder, Bastard Walder, who is called Walder Rivers. That's pretty much the gist of it. There's a lot of these motherfuckers called Walders.
But then we also get them arguing about succession and which of the Freys. And everybody is aware of which Frey is who next up in line because there's so many fucking Freys. And I just think that that's the next thing to show how telling they are, that they really are savage and just everyone's
I just
in
picture
it for
this
themselves.
like pile of rats that are all scrabbling trying to
Yeah.
get to the top, and they just keep falling down on each other.
Right.
It's just disgusting. They also mentioned that as they're going through the list, there's somebody, they say a name and I can't recall who, but they say, oh, he's like last in line for the succession, so he doesn't matter, and that's the value in their family.
Right.
Is your line in
Well, and
succession?
they also said
is,
that Walder Rivers but he's a bastard, so he doesn't
yeah, he's
count.
got no claim. So yeah, if you're not in the succession and actively trying
Then
to
who gives
climb
a
your
fuck who
way
you
up,
are?
who gives a fuck? But we also learned that Roderick had placed the Walders in Jon's old bedchamber, and Bran hated it, feeling like the Freys were trying to steal Jon's place.
Yeah, almost making it feel like he would never be returned.
Which, like, you know, Arya and Jon get a lot of the shit, but like Bran's a homie too. Like Bran like is holding it down at Winterfell. Like, nah, you're not going in Jon's room, motherfucker. I mean, they do, but
he doesn't have a choice.
and so yeah, Bran had watched as the Walders played with the cook's boy and Joseph's girl, deciding that Bran should be the judge and be the one to decide if people said mayhaps, but they forgot him as soon as play began. Shouts soon drew other children, and soon a large group of kids was playing, and Bran thought, if I had my legs, I'd knock them all into the water. No one would be lord but me. And then, who shows up but Rickon?
Little Rickon and Shaggy
Dog.
Dog just traipsing in like, I hear people playing.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on in here?
So he tells Shaggy Dog to stay with Bran while he goes and tries to play, which he did, until Little Walder hit Rickon in the belly with his stick. And before Bran could blink, the black wolf flew over the plank, and suddenly there was blood in the water. Rickon laughed in the mud. Hodor shouted Hodor and ran off. And oddly, after that, Rickon decided that he liked the Walders.
Yeah.
Playing other games, not Lord of the Crossing, they raided the kitchens together, they trained under Sir Roderick together, and Rickon even brought them down and showed them the crypts.
Which, before we get into that, I really like the Walder hits him in the stomach with the stick. You kind of assume that he's just an angry you just hit me, you little mother, and like that was the Shaggy Dog was just rushing out to get him the fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
you don't do that.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. But then, yeah, because I don't know if it's, I just picture him like on his ass, just kicking his little legs up, laughing at Shaggy Dog.
It's just
throwing
one,
him
like,
in the
I
water.
see these two kids on this log, and then just one is just woof, gone. Like,
Yeah.
with this wolf just taking it into the water, and then, yeah, Rickon just falling back to the shore, just kicking his legs and hooting. But, yeah, Rickon had taken them into the crypts, and Bran had screamed at him for that he had no right. That was our place, a Stark place. And that's an interesting one, considering that we
Yeah.
get Jon, who dreams about it so frequently and thinks about that I don't
Rickon, who
belong
was down
here,
there
and
hiding,
Rickon, who...
which they saw before the letter arrived.
Yeah.
Like, they both had the same dream. I don't think we even mentioned that in that last chapter of Bran's, we learned that both Bran and Rickon had dreamed of their father's crypt.
dead.
And,
yeah,
like,
their crypt being...
so, for him to be, I think, and, you know, we can't blame Rickon. He's just 4-year-old kid, you know, probably like, oh, this is where I dreamed that my dad died. Like,
yeah,
look,
they're carving his thing
exactly.
now.
Not realizing it's a... But yeah, Bran really took it to, which is understandable because of the
Well, I mean, Bran is, he's on a hairpin of, like, keeping his emotions in check at all times. He's terrified for his mother and brother now. He just lost his father, but still isn't really processing it, too.
Like, there's a lot of shit in this
So
kid's
the door
life.
opens, and Lewin comes in with Osha and Hayhead, and Lewin has a sleeping draught with him, and so Osha...
Oh, if it's not the Tattletale and Lewin himself.
And so Osha scoops him up very easily. She's a very strong woman.
She didn't even give him the choice to go in.
No, she just goes and picks him up.
I love that she just does what she needs to do.
She's like a parent, at a certain point you stop indulging the kid.
Yes.
You stop indulging the behavior and allow, like, yes, Bran is going through a lot right now.
He
needs to sleep. And,
this is what Cersei needed to do to Joffrey.
Yeah.
I get that you're the prince and you can do a lot of stuff. You get away with a lot. No, you don't get
It's fucking 9 o'clock. It's bedtime, mister.
Get the fuck into bed.
Let's go.
And it's not even that anymore. It's I'm taking you to bed.
Yeah, I mean, we're drugging you. So she picks him up, brings him to bed, and Lewin tells him that this will give you dreamless sleep, Bran. And he says it will, and so he drinks it quite eagerly. And Lewin and Hayhead leave, but Osha lingers.
She asks him if it's the wolf's dreams again, and he tells her it is. She says, I don't know if you have the quote there, but she tells him, "You should not fight so hard, boy. I see you talking to the heart tree. Might be back." And once again, she calls him boy.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know, there's just something about these elderly women in the that keep calling him boy, and she's not even an elderly woman, but like old Nan.
I mean, I think it's just at this point, like, it's not, the titles don't fucking matter.
And that's what it is.
When you're dealing with what is happening, like, in truth. Osha has come running down from the north in flight of the White Walkers. Not in flight of Mance Rayder and his army. Not in flight of fucking the Night's Watch. In flight of White Walkers. She has seen some shit. And then old Nan is fucking a millennia old. So, she's seen the creation of the universe. And so, the fact that neither of them are giving him, not giving him, because it's not something Bran demands. He doesn't call her on it. He doesn't demand she calls him prince. He's weirded out by it. So it's this comfort. It's, you're a boy.
And
you're a child. I'm treating you as a child. I'm scooping you up and
not in a bad way. Like, it's not like she's demeaning him.
Get over here, you little fucking boy. Like, and scooping him up angrily. She gently picks him up. Very gently picks him up, even though she's so strong. And just, you are a child. I am an adult. You need to rest now and grieve. There's a lot of shit going on. You're very young to be experiencing the kind of complicated emotions that you are. And so, like, there's a certain point where you just wooing at us is clearly a sign that, like,
it's bedtime.
Yeah, it's bedtime. You need to chill for the evening.
And so as he starts
quickly fading.
Yeah, questioning her gods, he's out. Fucking done.
But as
a dreamless sleep.
But as darkness overtakes him, he finds himself in the godswood.
Not having dreams.
Moving silently under gray-green sentinels and gnarled oaks old as time. I am walking, he thought.
As old as time.
Part of him knew it was a dream, but it was so much better than his bedchamber. It was dark, but the comet lit his way. He was moving on 4 legs, strong legs, feeling the ground underneath thick paws, and it was a good feeling.
So I really like that he's, he's obviously handicapped. He's paralyzed.
Yeah, man,
he can't walk.
He's feeling
and he's like, good,
like
strong legs,
dirt on my
dirt in my feet. Like,
Yeah, and the smells filled his head, intoxicating him.
And he thinks of the smell and taste of blood after he thinks about some squirrels.
Makes him slaver. And he could smell his brother, a familiar scent, his scent as black as his coat, loping around the walls, full of fury. Round and round he went, always searching for prey, for a way out, for his mother, for his litter mates, searching and never finding.
So, can I just point out that, because it almost seems strange that it would be still looking for its mother, but then you think of
Rickon.
And
that's all, like,
fuck.
That's all Rickon does, is he just comes and goes throughout the castle. He's just wandering around looking for somebody to
food.
Mm-hmm.
The kitchens is where he's raving.
His brothers, his sisters, his father, his mother.
Yeah.
It's fucking tragically sad and full of fury too.
And he knows that's what Shaggy is doing, is trying to find a way out, and he's howling and raging at it. And that's what he tried the first night as well, that they were trapped in here.
but the walls were too high. The man-made rock was too high for any wolf to leap. The ways out in between them were blocked by iron bars. It was no good. Snarls would open no path, circling the walls would not push them back, and lifting a leg on every tree would not keep the men away. The world had closed around them, but beyond the man-rock, caves stood. Winterfell, he remembered. Beyond its sky-tall man-cliffs, the true world was calling, and he knew he must answer or die. Or die.
Dad. Done.
So, this is the part that I really wanted to talk about. Is this Summer, or is this Bran having to answer the call of the world beyond or die?
So, because I think that the more he's in Summer, the more he becomes Summer in essence.
Yeah, I mean, he gets told that flat out.
Obviously, we're sitting there seeing him. He's moving on 4 good legs. He's doing this. And so I think it's kind of a melding of both of them at the same time. Like, that's the realization they're both coming to. We need to get out of this place and serve our purpose.
Get out of this place.
You're very sing-songy.
I know.
Tonight, and that's it's good for me.
It's good for cold opens. Fuck.
But yeah, no, I definitely think it's both of them kind of coming to that conclusion at the same time. Just this, we need to get out of here. This is not the right place for us.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that the chapter starts with him talking about how his room is a cell, his bedchamber is a cell. And you're thinking now of the fucking godswood as a cell and trying to find a way out.
And the freedom.
So, yeah, I guess, at the same time, kind of their spirits are achieving this same conclusion of, like, we need to get the fuck out. Nah. The chapter concluded. That was Bran's first one. One of the absolutely more magical driven and future sight, green sight, what the fuck is going on elements to it. But with that in mind, you got an inductee?
Oh, I didn't give too much thought about it. And so I think I'm throwing it out there. I'm going to give it to Rickon. Ricky.
Yeah, Rickon is such a good one. Like,
I'm more than any other reread ever, like, thoroughly enjoying this little character running around, fucking, I mean, doing creepy shit in the crypts and all, but, like, he's just out having a good time looking for his family. Like, he just wants people. And so hopefully he's doing all right out in Skagos.
We have our own names at Winterfell.
We have our... You guys don't have that? Like, you have to share?
You have to share names?
That sucks, dude.
Rickon.
So, Rickon.
Yeah, mine I'm going to give to Osha.
Oh, shit, Osha.
Oh, shit, Osha. Because she does. She immediately takes on that stern motherly role and just, I'm not playing your bullshit. You are the child. So I'm going to call you boy to remind you that you are a boy. You're not the prince here. You are a prince in title, but titles mean nothing when the dead are fucking coming after you. So yeah, Osha just... God, she kills it every chapter.
Oh, shit, Osha.
Oh, shit, Osha.
Yeah, so...
We did get an inductee from our friend Julian in France.
Our favorite little French fry.
Our favorite French fry.
And so he says, hey... Funny one would be Little Walder for inductee, who actually is the bigger one, and who managed to keep the Lord of the Crossing title for a very long time. And getting serious, though, his serious one would be Summer, because direwolves are smart and very conscious creatures. The link between each wolf and his paired sibling is strong and strongly underlined in the writing. For example, when Summer is howling, there is something to catch, comprehend, apprehend, induce. I like that. Plus, big up to my @Carstark92. He asked if that's how you write it, and I fixed it because he doesn't use Twitter. Sorry, no problem. You get in touch with us other ways. For having one of these big old direwolves at home. Long story short, I had 3 as a kid that used to pull me on my sledge in the snow. Good times. Winter isn't coming that much anymore. Love these huskies. Take care of my Lord Beric Dogdarian. Valhalla Dog Harris. Julian, as always, magically written.
Beric, loved your inductee. He keeps me on my toes. He's a little shithead. He's a little stinker, but I adore him and his goofy little fluffy butt. But
he's an asshole.
He's an asshole. He's a huge asshole, but he's the best thing that ever happened. So, yeah, I love his fluffy butterness, and you had 3 to pull you in a sled, which sounds pretty fucking dope, if I'm being honest.
Wild.
Because he drags me around without a sled. So, I get it. But, yeah, thank you for writing in, Julian, and I can't do the Vahowl dog hairiest like Nate can. So.
Dog hairiest. I love it.
And, yeah, so next week, God fucking damn it, we are not an episodic television series. Next episode, we're going to be reading Arya 2, which will be Arya's second chapter. In
Our
first,
second point of view chapter from any character.
And Arya's just going to be continuing north.
I also want to point out that it is before we receive a few characters' first point of view chapter in the book.
Shit,
so, because there's a good amount of new characters that we are yet to see. Well, they've not yet had a point of view chapter, but my English is good today.
I just detest everything that you are.
But anyway, write into us, let us know, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bella de Harris!
Peace!